What's happening, people? Welcome back to Park Lane Podcast. Today, I'm your host, Harry Scarf. It's been a little while before I've hosted. We were using completely different stuff there, different streaming services, and times were very different. I think Andrew's in charge when I last hosted, and I'm joined by one guest, but a fantastic guest tonight in Holly Agrenbar. Holly, how are you doing?
Yeah, not bad. It's been a long day, an emotional day, which I'm sure we'll get onto. But it's great to be back on the show and with you as well, Harry.
No, it's great to always share the stage with you. So thank you very much for coming on. As you said, definitely an emotional day. I mean, that Newcastle game was all about Son going. But if you're listening on YouTube, please do like and subscribe. If you're listening afterwards on a podcast platform, a lot of you do, please do drop us a follow and a 5-star review. So let's get straight into this one. Let's go over the Arsenal win, which I'm very happy to say that we will. That's the beauty of just doing one podcast a week. Holly, do you think that Thomas Frank got his game plan spot on in this one?
I think so. It's nice to see, obviously, Spurs under a different manager playing a slightly different way. I think the biggest thing for me was the press that we continued to do all game. And I know we did that a lot last season, but it was a bit more constructive. It felt like we had a bit more shape. I wasn't so nervous at the back and in midfield. It seemed like we were a bit more cohesive. And obviously that goal came from, obviously, a bit of a press from Sarr, who then managed to finish off with a sublime finish. But yeah, I did feel a little bit better about it in general, just in terms of how we were playing.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's always nice to win an North London derby, but, you know, it's the performance as well that I think is very key in this one. But you spoke about it there in terms of defensive resilience. Did that really impress you? And like we saw a lot of organisation, didn't we? A lot of disciplined, I suppose, defending.
Yeah, and I think we have missed that, especially last season at times. I'd always get very nervous when the opposition would have the ball because I always knew that they were essentially going to score from it. Whereas in the Arsenal game, yes, I know it's pre-season, but I can start to see what Frank is kind of looking to do with Spurs, which gives me a little bit of hope that we're not going to be so easily cut open, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that is good. It's reassuring, isn't it, as well? But we're champions again. I mean, it's becoming a bit of a regular thing, isn't it? I mean, not for Arsenal, but certainly for Tottenham.
Oh, defo. And it's a feeling that I hope will continue throughout next season as well. We always used to say about with Spurs, there isn't winners in the team, or there's only a few. I mean, now we can say that whole squad has won something. I know there's been additions into the side, etc., but it's nice to always get one over them and always throw the thing about, I think the thing that made me laugh so much was on Twitter when they Spurs retweeted 0 days since we last won a trophy. So yeah, it's lovely to see it. I'm all here for it.
Absolutely. I mean, give that admin a raise. That's what I say. But let's go through some of the YouTube comments before we move on. Big up to Jay, regular here, who says, now that Son is leaving Tottenham and will always get classed as a Tottenham legend as well. Harry Kane, what do we think? Should we sign to replace Sonny? Who should we get? Do you think Wissa? I'll tell you what, let's do that now then. We'll get to Son a little bit later, Holly, but answer his question. Who do you think fits the right profile in like the Thomas Frank system to go and replace Son? I mean, he's a very hard player to replace.
Yeah, I don't think Sonny. We always talk in football that you're never going to get a replacement for like, and I think Sonny is definitely someone like that. You're never going to ever replace Sonny. So in terms of who we go get, I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea. Just in terms of, again, he's just a totally different player. I think we do obviously need another winger, because losing Sonny, as much as last season his dip in form was noticeable, again, that might be because of the system we were kind of playing in the Prem, but it's what he brings to the whole squad. We've seen that outpour of love today. It's that kind of being inside the changing room as well that we don't always see as fans. So Wiss is a fine shout. I would love Eze, but obviously there's talks that Frank doesn't like Eze, and that he's potentially going to them lot down the road. So I'm not really too sure. So I'm going to flip it on your head, Harry. Who do you want to see come in?
Thank you. I think they would be, like you said, would be right. Very back there. I can't see it happening. If I want to see, I think it's more of like a dream signing would be very nice. But I think it's now like, we'll get onto it a little bit later, but a priority that we do sign now an attacking player with the news to do with Maddison again, as I said, we will get onto. But it feels like all of a sudden it's more important than ever. But Eze for me, I mean, another one, and I'm not exactly sure where he'd play in the Tottenham system, but it's Xavi Simons. Can we hijack Chelsea's deal? There's not many, is there, out there really that we're kind of linked with or seem right. So we have to see.
Luckily, that's not our job to do. So.
No, exactly. As long as I get someone, that is all I say. But James, YouTube chat, and now I feel like buying the Son flag that Spurs sell to remember him. He'll always be a top legend. I think we could all be in agreement with that. I mean, there's not many players, is there, Holly, in football that like don't have any haters. I'd say Son must come close to having no haters.
100%. And that's just because he's a genuine person. Like, he's always smiley. You always see him having a good time. And it's just the support, like I mentioned earlier, that he gives to the other players, not necessarily with his footballing abilities, but just being a mate. And the thing that got me, and I know we're probably going to get onto it, but the thing that stood out for me today was in the post-match kind of conference where they were talking to him again. And he said, I'll always be supporting the family. Not I'll always be supporting Spurs. I'll always be supporting the family, and that really got me. I'm going to start crying again.
Yeah, no, we don't want that. I mean, it's such a sad thing. I'd argue a lot sadder than when Kane left. We're getting to that whole conversation in just a little bit. So let's move on to the second game of the week. Busy time as we kind of wrap up our pre-season, and especially the pre-season tour. So we played Newcastle in South Korea. That Arsenal match was in Hong Kong. This one in South Korea ended 1-1, so a draw between the sides. So firstly, Holly, do you think that first goal of the game went to us? It was a good finish by Brennan Johnson. It was his first of pre-season.
And it was very quick as well. It was like 4 minutes, which, again, it wasn't unusual Johnson back post kind of slot in the back of the corner. It was a shot from a pretty decent range. I'm not going to lie. It was good on him to kind of get that goal. But again, it's that press. Danso, again, stepping in to win the ball and then passing it on to Johnson. So, yeah, I was very pleased with it, and especially to get off the mark so early on. We seem to be kind of the reverse of last season. I know it's pre-season, but we seem to be starting games a lot faster, which I'm liking every second of.
Exactly. I mean, long may that continue. Were you impressed as well? Because what stood out to me was Danso stepping in to win the ball for the goal. Is that something you want to see, those centre-back stepping into midfield?
100%. I think if that's the way Frank wants us to play in a system that's going to be on the front foot but cohesive in a sense, rather than before it was kind of everybody kind of doing that own thing with a little bit of structure. I feel like there is more structure now. And I know in the warm-ups and things, you see them kind of all working as a unit as the back four, which I didn't see all of the pre-match warm-ups, but it was nice to kind of see that we are trying to work on that defensive shape. But yeah, I'm all for it. And again, I think Danso's a great addition. Hopefully now we all kind of know that Romero is going to be staying. Having Danso just to come in or maybe slot out of some games, just give Romero a break or Mickey a break, is something that I think our Spurs fans are going to really take a lot of credit for next season, especially when we spoke about how many injuries we had last season. To have someone like Danso to be there and at a level that I think, no discredit to Dragusin, but is a lot higher than him. And it'd be a nice kind of, oh no, we've got to stick someone in that isn't the same ability. I feel like Danso has got a very high ceiling. I think we're going to see the best of him next season, I hope.
Absolutely hope so as well. I totally do agree with you. I really like Danso. I think he stepped in and done a good job. And we've clearly got a rival fan in the comments. A little comment here, and I hate to read it out, but I'm going to. This is one underwhelming career from Son, talented lad, but wasted. It goes on to say no ambition at all. I mean, clearly does have some haters, maybe some jealous ones as well. Hey ho. So another thing I noticed in the game was I thought that Ben Davies was quite out of position a few times. I might be being harsh. Is this something that you maybe noticed that down that left-hand side we looked slightly vulnerable at times? Newcastle putting a lot of balls in the box, or just think that was them, that they got a lot of success with putting balls in the box? It's not necessarily maybe our fault down that side.
I think as the game kind of progressed on, we were looking a bit more shaky. I think when we scored that first goal, maybe another 10, 15 minutes, all started going a little bit pear-shaped. I don't want to say it's all Ben Davies' fault, but we know that he is part of the furniture at Spurs. And again, when I go back to talk about Sonny, about being the player that's there in the changing room, is kind of like the dad figure. I feel like Davies is that now. I feel like he is getting minutes just to keep him ticking over. I feel like he will potentially stay at the club. But I don't think we'll see a lot of him, if that makes sense. Because like I say, he is the one that's potentially slower off the mark, isn't quite in tune with the rest of the back kind of four, back five. So yeah, it's concerning. But again, I take these kind of games with a pinch of salt, because we are trialing things in pre-season. I'm just happy that we're looking a bit more cohesive. I know I keep going on about it, but I'm not too worried about Davies, if that makes sense.
No, fair enough. I think that's really fair. Tell had a 1v1 chance. I'm sure you're just seeing it where he scored. I think done well to beat the defender. I don't think it's a foul for me, but he's got to score that, hasn't he? He'd be disappointed with himself, you'd have thought.
I think so. And I think in his mind, as a player, I know we joke about it, but it was kind of the same with Werner. It feels like when they've got too much time, they overstep it, overthink it. It was quite an easy kind of step over that he'd done, and I think Pope kind of knew that he was going to go near post, which made it easy for him, I think. But yeah, you should be scoring them. But again, he's young. He's still trying to get himself into this Spurs kind of team. But I think he'll be a good addition. But yeah, he's got to be finishing those. I think he was just a bit taken back. He had so much time and so much space.
What do you make of that signing? I mean, going a little bit off topic, but do you think it's still who turn out well, maybe? Because some people, of course, are sceptical about the signing. But from your point of view, does it make sense?
I think so. I think it was the right time, right kind of player in the circumstances of things. I think as well, just for me, for a player to come in and already have the backing of the team. Was it the Fulham game where he went over to the kind of away fans at the time and kind of said to them, look, we are trying our best, stick in there. And he'd only joined the club on loan for like a month. To me, that actually just show a lot of character. And again, it's just another option. We've got someone I get excited and get off my feet when he's taking players on. Okay, he might not have the end product just yet. But we saw last season, it doesn't really matter if you've got players in the team that can get the ball in the back of the net.
100%. I agree with a comment in the YouTube chat from Stephen McGrath who says, I believe Tell will be a good player. So I personally totally agree with that and hope it does work out for him. Do you think that we had an issue dealing with, I feel like I'm picking up the negatives here, but promise you there are positives to get onto. But do you think that Joelinton's height was a little bit of a challenge for us to deal with it? He done well because he didn't score from it, but it seemed like they were aiming for him. Obviously really physical, aggressive side Newcastle. It felt like it was only a matter of time before Joelinton was going to score, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, I think so. Again, it's difficult. You're trying to try things in pre-season. Don't get me wrong, Newcastle were forced to be reckoned with last season, so it wasn't going to be an easy game. Obviously, they lost their game before to a team in the K-League, so they were going to be up for today. But yeah, I think it's going to be one of those things that we've got lots of players now that we can still play around with to get the right system before we get into the season that's only 14 days away. So I think we've still got time, but it's concerning, but not concerning. Do you know what I mean? I'm feeling more positive about the season coming up.
No, I'm totally with you on that. And so, Joelinton causes these kind of problems to other teams. It's not, I don't think, an issue of our own. On the Newcastle goal, I mean, I think we have to give credit to them here rather than maybe nitpick at our defending. It was a really good goal, wasn't it, from Harvey Barnes? I would say it's Porro's fault, would you?
No, I don't think so. I think it was just a brilliant goal, really. Sometimes you just got to hold your hand up and be like, fair play, mate. Because I think it was a superb finish. And it's just little things. Like we say, these things in games will happen. And I'm happy that they can happen in these pre-seasons. But come the season, if I'm seeing little things like this, then I will lose my minds. But no, it was just a great finish, to be brutally honest.
Because I didn't see much of the game, I found out this goal from Alistair Gold's post. People don't know Alistair Gold, but Football London, quite big with Tottenham stuff. And he said that he thinks that Kinski will be disappointed with that one to be beaten at his near post. Do you agree with that? I mean, I know, of course, it's not easy to be beat from a near post. Never nice as a goalkeeper, but I think that's a little bit harsh.
I think so. I mean, there was quite a few bodies in the way as well. I'm not saying that's an excuse. But again, like I say, you've got to iron these out in pre-season. Whether he was annoyed, disappointed, I'm sure he'll look back on it and be like, right, that's what I'm going to work on before the season kicks off. Because I think Vicario is going to still be our number one. But it would be good to have Kinksy as that option. And apart from that, I think he did quite well today.
What do you make of the rumours that like Lille in France are interested in potentially getting on loan? Surely the club can't listen to that after selling Keeley.
No, I hope not. And I don't want to be in a situation where obviously Lloris got injured and then we were kind of like, oh, great, this is going to be brilliant now. I think we need to keep Kinski. I think if he's happy with being number two, but knows at times if we need him to play him, we've got so many games next season with the Champions League, FA Cup, all of the other things going on. I think we'd be silly to get rid of him. I was quite disappointed that Josh Keeley kind of left the club because I think he had a very, very good standard of goalkeeping. But again, you can't have 3-4 good goalkeepers. But yeah, I hope Kinski says, I hope the kind of loan thing is nonsense because we can't have him going out.
Talking of Kinski, I mean, myself, I thought he was really good in this game and his distribution was very good. But Holly, definitely hypothetical here, but wouldn't it be nice in a way that if we could join the two goalkeepers together, Vicario's shot-stopping ability Kinski's distribution and kind of on the ball stuff, would it be a really good goalkeeper? We put them together. I think it'd be like a Ballon d'Or winning goalkeeper.
100%. I kind of knew when you started that sentence that's what you were going to say. Yeah, I love Kinski's distribution. I mean, the amount of times we see Vicario go long and it goes out, it doesn't hit the right person, I'm losing my mind. But with Kinski, it's just a whole different kind of feel from it. Yeah, it is annoying. And like you say, Vicario is brilliant at stop shopping. I think Kinski can, like we said already, he can maybe develop it a little bit more. But distribution, he needs to send Vicario some tips, I think.
Absolutely, 100%. What did you make of our defence in the game? You spoke about it. I've spoken about it on here already tonight about how much better we've looked defensively under Frank. But in this game in particular, what stood out to you from a defensive point of view? Because for me, it was about the amount of times we played Newcastle offside, including their disallowed goal from Gordon for being offside.
Again, I think that was kind of in the warm-up, because I've seen clips of like the coach kind of standing with the ball and then the back 4-5 trying to dictate when to step forward, when not to step forward. So I think it's definitely something that we're kind of working on. Rather than last year, let's just play an absolutely ridiculous high line and hope for the best. I feel like now there is a bit more cohesion. And don't get me wrong, I think there's still going to be some things we're going to have to work on when the season starts. But I'm liking the foundation, which I think is something we kind of missed last season, I think.
Totally agree. As much as I like Dan, it was that bit of flexibility. Some would say coaching, and in particular defensively. I mean, he wouldn't have a set piece coach, would he? I think says it all. But I'll move on to Son now. I mean, I think that would take a little while to discuss him. His last ever game as Tottenham captain, last ever game in the Tottenham shirt. I mean, firstly, Holly, I mean, it just all of a sudden feels really real now, doesn't it? It's kind of kicked in.
Yeah, I know. I think when that press conference, when he came out and kind of started it straight from the off, said, look, I'm looking to leave Spurs this summer. And I was like, oh my God, it's actually happening. This can't be real. But for 10 incredible years to see Spurs without Sonny is going to be really weird. It's going to take a lot of time to kind of adjust to it. But my word, it's just such a loyal human being, such a genuine guy. And you can see he's adored not just by Spurs players, Spurs fans, but a lot of players in the Prem and beyond, and a lot of different rival fans. But yeah, anything I say, I can't do the man justice because he's just unreal. But yeah.
I mean, for me, Holly, it was pretty telling that even Newcastle players, were hugging him, were kind of consoling him, if you like. I mean, that just tells me what a decent and genuine guy that he is. Would you say that he's a Tottenham Hotspur legend? Because he certainly is in my eyes.
Oh, 100%. The fact that obviously he stayed when he could have moved wherever he pleased at the height of his career at Tottenham, and he stayed and he wanted to win that trophy. And then to see, obviously, this season where things weren't going so well in the Prem, to then get to Europa League final, to see him lift that trophy to a player that has given his all to Spurs in the last 10 years. I was like, no, I'm not leaving till I've won that trophy. And for me, that goes above and beyond anything. That writes yourself in the history books as a Spurs legend. And like I say, there's nothing else I can say about the man to do him justice, because we will look back, certainly I'll look back to when I went to his first home game and first game in the Premier League, and he scored his first goal, and that was 10 years ago. And flash forward, that's pretty much most of me watching Spurs from what I remember. It's going to have Sonny in it, and now I think he's not going to be there. But yeah, I'm waffling on a bit, but he is 100% a Spurs legend. There's no doubt about it.
Totally agree with you. I mean, he joined, didn't he, as he said himself, a boy that couldn't speak English, and he's left as a European champion. It just feels right to end. It just feels the right time to end on a high. I mean, Holly, it could have been better, could it? Leaving as a European champion, also then his final game in front of his home fans in South Korea, and that's not losing the game as well. It just everything about it just felt right, apart from him scoring, which he didn't quite manage.
No, it was poetic. And I think the thing as well, there was a couple of times he was offside. I think he was through on goal, had a brilliant touch, and then the whistle went. I was like, mate, just let him score. Just let him have this moment.
Yeah.
But no, it was poetic. Like you say, joined Spurs, didn't know a word of English, joined as a kid, left as a man, left as a legend. Like, you can't do no more.
Where do you think he ranks among those legends? Because a comment here says he's not the Bale, Waddle, or Cliff Jones level of legend, though, but it does admit he's a legend. I think we can all agree with that, but where does he rank for you among those top Hotspur legends?
It's going to sound really cliche, and it's probably going to sound like a cop-out, but I think it depends what generation you are, because obviously I didn't get to watch Waddle, I didn't get to watch Greaves, I didn't get to watch players like that. But I lived through to watch Bale. Now, I think Bale is a legend. I wouldn't class him at the same level as Sonny because he didn't win anything at Spurs. Although he went on and did amazing things at Real Madrid. But then again, he thought, no, I need to go and try and win something because at the time, I don't think I can do it all at Spurs. So I think it does depend what era you're born in. But he's a Spurs legend for me, regardless. To win a trophy, to be a club captain, to stay for 10 years and wait till you win that trophy. I don't think it's him not being ambitious. I think it's him being loyal and sticking to a plan that he wanted to achieve something that he would basically call home. So yeah, it's a bit of a cop out of the question. But I do think it depends what era you're born in.
No, I think that's absolutely fair enough, to be honest with you. But I mean, I totally relate to you in terms of saying that it's going to feel weird seeing I'm not in the team, because I was born in like 2008, and before I really started getting into football and started following Tottenham, and in particular going, it was all about kind of around 2016. Obviously, Son joined the club in 2015, so I haven't seen Tottenham without Son. Of course, there's been times like he played Morgan in the FA Cup, he's on the bench, or very, not often at all, but sometimes maybe injured or ill, etc. But I've never known him not be a Tottenham Hotspur player. It's just going to be so weird. It just doesn't feel right, I suppose. But it's not about money, is it, for Son, Holly? Because, Fabrizio had a report the other day, and loads of other sources think Alistair Gold might have even broke the news first. In 2023, Son turned down a £25 million a year contract from Saudi. So he's not money motivated, is he? He's proper loyal, if you like. And that's what makes him, I suppose, a big part of him being a legend.
Yeah, defo. And that's the thing. I think for him, he wanted to try and achieve that trophy at Spurs. Because at the end of the day, if you've given pretty much 10 years of your career to a club, you don't want to leave and not win anything, especially with the amount of players we kind of had at Tottenham during that tenure. It's kind of like crazy. But yeah, it's not about money. He's, like I say, he's just a genuine guy. He wants to go and carry on playing football, but he's done all he can at Spurs. He's leaving on a high. And I think, like I said, all night, it's just poetic.
Yeah, absolutely. Just going to address a comment. Neither of us said that we haven't heard of Cliff Jones. We just said that it wasn't in our time. So, before we make comments like that, make sure you actually listen to what we're saying. Sorry,
that's okay.
Say that. Just why. Listen, I've got to ask the question. I hinted about it earlier. I didn't really formally ask you, I suppose. I certainly think it is. But do you think this is sadder and more difficult for the club to deal with than when Harry Kane left? Of course, Kane left a bigger hole, but this leaves an emotional hole in a different way, doesn't it?
I think so. It's really difficult because I loved Kane, but I think I've cried more about Sonny, and that sounds so stupid, but I generally have, because although Kane was basically made at Tottenham, and I was kind of like, mate, you need to move if you want to win something potentially. Now I look back at it and I think, mate, that's so stupid. Look at us now. But it does leave an emotional hole. You kind of saw the players today so happy for him, but at the same time, they're like, I'm not going to have my mate in the changing room anymore. I'm not going to have my mate in training anymore. And it's just going to be such a weird tie. I am really, really sad. It's going to be interesting to see how the club kind of group together, because again, it sounds silly, but I feel like Sonny was the glue that held everybody together. He was the dad. He was the best mate. You could go over to him if you needed to talk to him about anything, just because he's so lovely. So yeah, it will be interesting. I think it has left a bigger mark, more because of that loyalty. And I hate to say it, but he has been loyal. Kane, maybe not so much in that kind of respect. But yeah, that was kind of a hot take. But I don't know how you're feeling, H. Is that, I know I keep flipping the questions on you, but it's nice to get your feeling as well.
Yeah, it is. Well, I think we're both used to hosting our own podcast, aren't we? Both used to asking the questions. So no, it's absolutely fine. I agree with you. I think it's sadder than Son left. It definitely, like, I don't know. It's one that I think we'll be thinking about for a long time. Whereas Kane, I mean, I love the period. I'd always have him back. But now I don't really think about it, if that makes sense. So I think in these years' times that we will be thinking about Son. It's just a lot of it is not just what you do on the pitch, it's off the pitch as well. And like it come out the other day that I think, again, it was from Alistair Gold, mentioned him a lot tonight, that Son, during that difficult period of last season, not sure what difficult point, he didn't say, but he got the group together, rallied them and said, look, we need to stick together. We can still win the Europa League. The league's been disastrous and we won the Europa League. He was just so loyal. Others around him, whatever you think of them, and for whatever reason it may be, but you look at Hugo, Ericsson, Harry Kane, they all left, didn't they? And Kyle Walker's another. They really, if we're being honest, left to win a trophy or left for something better in their opinion. Whereas Son was loyal, and I absolutely agree with you that he deserves a lot of respect for that. But what would you think would be a good price for him, Holly? We're hearing about 15, 20 million. What do you make of that? I mean, it's sad to see how quickly he has devalued in terms of price.
Yeah, it's hard again because you've got to kind of weigh up the market at the moment. And if the rumours are true that he is going to LAFC, that probably is around the right region mark. But then again, you kind of sat there thinking he's not leaving on a free, which again just kind of shows that we're going to get some form of money out of him that will hopefully go to someone else. Go to us, sorry. But yeah, I think it's around that kind of region mark, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, 100%. Totally agree with you. And the last kind of couple of things on the Newcastle game. What did you make of how Basuma looked? Because a couple of bits I watched of the highlights and bits like that, he looked better. He won the ball back, looked like he wanted it a bit more. I mean, Basuma, I think, is always going to be a player that's hot and cold. And also, how do you stand with him in terms of his future? What should the club do?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because we've seen rumours that he's potentially going to be leaving, but he doesn't want to leave. So it's always hard to get players out that necessarily don't want to, because we've seen it before at different clubs where they'll just sit there and not rot, but they will just kind of not be part of that kind of 22-man squad. So be interesting to see what we do. Again, I think he was pictured crying. I think it was yesterday. I don't know if that's about Sonny or potentially just the emotion of everything that's going on. But yeah, it's weird because, again, we've got a problem with our midfield. I don't think last season we ever figured out what was our best kind of combination. And you are right in saying that Basuma is hot and cold. But hopefully if he does stay, Frank will be able to work out what's the best kind of personnel for a certain game, which we didn't really have last season. Andrew was just kind of like, yeah, let's put these three in every week, see if they can get on and stuff. I might tweak it a little bit, but most of the time you kind of could guess who was going to be on there. Whereas this season coming up, if Basuma does stay, I would be intrigued to see how Frank kind of implements him into the team. So like you say, I think he is getting better. I just don't think he's ever got to the height that he was since he obviously got red carded last season before. Everything blurred into one last season, so I can't remember much.
No, probably a good thing in many ways. Remember the Europa League win. Forget about the league. It didn't even exist. Let's just say it was null void that year. Can I ask you about Paulinho, though? As while we talk about what does it mean for Basuma, firstly, that Paulinho comes in? Can you see him getting a look in? Talk about him hopefully getting a chance under Frank, but that surely reduces minutes a little bit. I mean, Paulinho may be less useful against low blocks, but assume that he comes in and starts.
Yeah, and again, it is how we're going to kind of deal with it, because again, if he doesn't want to go, sadly, we can't chuck him out the door unless we rip up his contract like we did with someone else. So it does mean that he'll probably have less minutes. Like you say, if he comes in, you expect him to start. But what I would say is that it is just going to be very interesting to see how it is managed next season, because he can be hot and cold, which again, we keep talking about the fact that with Basuma, he needs to be at optimum level. Everything needs to be perfect to work. But with Paulinho, I think we'll get a player that will hit the ground running. And we said it so many times before that season, that having players in the same place builds competition, and it's healthy to have competition for place in the squad. So maybe that might keep Basuma on to do a bit better. Who knows? It might be vice versa.
What do you make of the signing of Paulinho? Some people saying, on the negative point of view, questioning his passing ability or his age. But I personally think this looks like a really class signing. It makes sense on a loan with an option to buy. I don't think it's been unambitious. I think just it's being clever about it if it doesn't work out.
I think so, and I think we've seen us do this a fair few times. Obviously, with Tell, I know we've spoken a little bit about him. But will he become good? Will he become better? But the signs are there. I think before we've always bought a player on hope, rather than actually statistics and looking at them. I think he'll come in with a lot of confidence, with a lot of, again, as in what's the word, game experience in terms of. He'll be one of the older members of the squad in that kind of sense. He'll be able to come in, kind of take the younger players under their wing. And like you said, it's clever business. I don't think it's unambitious. I think, like you said, it's clever to get him in on a loan. If it doesn't quite work out, we don't have to keep him.
Yeah, exactly. For me, it just makes total sense. 100% with you on that. Last thing I'm going to bring up on the Newcastle game is to do with James Maddison, because it looks like he's ACL again, which is really frustrating. I mean, I saw the news he'd come on. I was like, yeah, great. And then I thought it was someone was just trying to wind people up. I said he's injured, but it's not the case, unfortunately. You've seen left leaving on crutches. I think he had his hood up, so clearly didn't want to be seen in distress, which is sad to see. And then Frank said after the game, it's the same knee that he got injured last year. So it looks like he's going to be out for a long time. So firstly, I mean, I don't know about you, I'm just absolutely devastated for Maddison. It just seems like we and him himself can't catch a break.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think obviously it happened off the ball as well. He kind of was looking to make a run to the wing, and as he's turned, he's twinged it. So yeah, it's distressing because you can see he knew straight away that he'd done something, and the fact that it's been confirmed that it's the same knee kind of just suggests that it's going to be another lengthy kind of timeout at Spurs. And it's frustrating because obviously to lose him before the final, to then he not be around for the one when we play PSG. It's just it's annoying and it's so frustrating. I can only imagine what's kind of going through his head because if it's an ACL, he's going to be out for a very long time. And that just gives us another problem in that 10 kind of role, that creative kind of space, because we've needed that creative element. To then lose him before the final, I know we did really well, but then to not have him again for the start of the season, it's going to be a massive blow, I feel.
It is. I mean, would you agree with me that it's now, if it wasn't already a priority position, that number 10? You know, we didn't get Morgan Gibbs-White over the line. I just think it's really important. And I see Bergevall as like an 8, in my opinion. Obviously, Decky's still out, so technically not a 10 at the moment because he's not fit. I mean, Kudus could always play in that number 10 role. I think he played 45% of his minutes at Ajax in that number 10. But do you agree with me that we do need to go out there and get that number 10 that is, of course, right for the club? Don't want to rush it, but we need to go out there and do it.
Yeah, I'm so done with us trying to plug holes for players that don't necessarily is their natural position. We've done it so many times. I think, obviously, I hate to say it, but maybe it's good that he's injured just so it makes us go and get someone, because if this happened in the season, we'd be absolutely screwed. So I'm hoping this is going to kind of push them out to try and get that player over the line, whoever it may be. But we need someone. We can't, again, like I said, if this happened in the season, we'd be done for. And it's not that it's not fair, but I don't think it would be right to bring an asset like Kudus inside when he performs better out on the wing, for me personally.
I just thinking about it, Holly, now, Eze's just absolutely perfect because he can play on that left-hand side and he can play as a 10. Could you see any way that happens? I know that apparently he wants Arsenal want him, blah, blah, blah. Hopefully it doesn't happen. Hopefully he has some ambition and wants to win some trophies. How nice is that to say? But do you think that we can sign him? Is it realistic?
Oh, I'd love to, because I've loved Eze for a very long time, and I know the talk with Arsenal is apparently progressing. But you know, transfers are a funny thing. You can always get a team to swoop in and nick someone. So if he does
How
come,
nice would that be?
It would be.
That'd be nice.
It would be. But yeah, it would be nice. Whether it happens or not, I don't know. But all I know is we just need another 10. We need someone to go and get it done, Spurs.
100%. Anything else you'd like to mention about the game, Holly? Maybe any positives, anything you noted, any concerns that you have going into the season?
I think it's probably just the Madders one. And again, I think I've just been a wreck for the last, I don't know, day crying over Sonny, which is so weird because Jay just sits there and not laughs at me, but he's like, he can process, but he can't. Do you know what I mean? But like, it's just, yeah. When you're so connected to a player, it just kind of does that for you. And it does feel weird. I know he's not retiring from football, but it just feels like a massive blow that we all kind of knew was coming. But when it's actually happened, you're like, actually, no, I need to sit back. That last 10 years of me watching a player, I'm never going to see in a Spurs shirt again.
I mean, just for me, you can't replace Son for loads of different reasons. So his leadership, his loyalty, and what he can produce on the pitch, off the pitch. Just such a nice guy. But the club are going to have to do their best and have to bring in left winger / number 10 now. Eze does both. Come on, let's get Eze. But a shout here from Ronnie in the YouTube shout. It says, Grealish on loan. How do you feel about this? I mean, I don't see it happening, A, because of the wage mainly, but B, as well. I think that Man City will walk quite a bit for him. But is he a realistic option for you and someone you'd like to see in the Tottenham shirt?
It would be nice to see. But again, I think we might be in a bit of dreamland, like you said, to pay the kind of wages and, like you say, what City are going to want. But again, he's not really playing much at City. So if we can kind of get Daniel Levy on the case to kind of do what he does best and try and haggle, then who knows? But yeah, it does excite me to watch him play. It's just, I don't think it's realistic. But then I did just sit here, and say that we can go get Eze and we can try and sweep under the carpet and get him in over Arsenal. So who knows? Transfers and football is a funny game.
It is very funny. But last but not least, before we kind of wrap it up, I want to talk about Bayern, which is our next game on Thursday. Firstly, how do you feel about this one? And how does it feel? We talk about Harry Kane, but to be playing him again if he does feature.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Again, it's going to be the game right before the PSG one as well. So I feel like this is going to be the game that, although we've seen Frank tinker with things, we've seen the same sort of players here and there. It'll be interesting to see if he uses this game to really set us up properly and actually see this is a little taste of what we're going to get when the season kicks off. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see, obviously, a Kane reunion if he features. And again, yeah, I'm looking forward to it because, again, we're getting closer to the season and I'm feeling positive, which doesn't normally happen. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
it should be good. Anyone you want to see in this game, Holly? Anyone you want to get some minutes from? Maybe a younger player, a fringe player, or ultimately new signing? Maybe Paulinho is done by then and announced. You might want to see him. He might flow over. You never know.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Get the new number 10 in, get Paulinho in, and we'll see how we go. But no, on a serious note, I think I just want to see Kudus again. I'm really excited to see how he's going to perform, and I think getting minutes for him is going to be important to make him gel with the squad. So yeah, I want to see a lot of minutes for Kudus, I think.
100%. Can I get your score prediction for the game? I mean, it's really hard because you don't know what the team's going to be, and a lot could change with Tottenham, as you know, in just a few days.
Well, the fact that obviously we beat Arsenal, the fact that we drew to Newcastle, I feel like this is going to be the one that we're going to get another win. But I think we will concede in this one. I'm interested to see how we'll kind of cope. But I'm going to go 2-1, I reckon. I'm going to throw that out there.
2-1 to Spurs or Bayern?
2-1 to Spurs, sorry.
Good Spurs. That's good. Just to check. No, I think I'll back you. I think we're going to... I'll go 3-1 Spurs. I'll be bold. I think Kudus is going to do very well. I think you mentioned him there. So fingers crossed we see what we want to see in that. I mean, would you say that pre-season is, especially at this stage as well, latter stage of it, it's solely about, isn't it, like performances, tactics? It was originally about fitness maybe, but how much is it about results? Is it a little bit more maybe now it's gone on a bit as we get closer to the season?
I think so. Obviously, I never really look into much that goes on in pre-season in terms of what the end score is. But especially when you've only got a couple more games now to get into your rhythm, these are the ones you kind of expect us to actually write. We figured out what we want to do in the previous games. Let's go out there and kind of see how we'd set up in a Premier League game, because I think that is the important one as well. Oh, wow. Fairs.
Yeah, 4-1. Someone said in the comments 4-1 Bayern. I mean, that's probably negative.
I was going to say, I hope that isn't the case. But yeah, I do want to see us winning this game. And then again, it puts us into good stead for the PSG game. So who knows? I think this is the one that we need to really turn up the heat and pretend that this is a Premier League fixture, because they're going to come up thick and fast before we know it.
Can we win the treble, if you like, Holly? Can we get that, win against PSG?
I would love to say yes, but sadly, I do think they are on another level. They are just ridiculous. I think it'll be interesting again to see how we kind of face them, how we line up. But I think this might be a step too far just for us, I think.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Last thing before we wrap up, I want to just come to my mind about Mikey Moore. How do you feel about him going out on loan? Do you think that's a deal that makes sense for all parties? It certainly seems that way.
Yeah, like I said, I'd love to see him in a Spurs shirt again next season. But I think a loan deal is right. Again, he said he had loads of clubs come in and he felt that Rangers was the right one. You can see that, again, I think he's going to be firing and ready to go. He needed to get more minutes. Whether he would have under Frank, I'm not sure. But I think it is a good move for everyone. And I'm excited to see him back the following year.
100%. I think it's frustrating not to have him to be able to utilise him, but you just got to look at the bigger picture. Maybe it's better for his development. Well, Holly, I think that wraps us up nicely for this episode. Thank you very much for joining us. Would you like to tell people where they can find you on the socials and maybe as well a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, no worries. Like I say, it's nice to be here and not have to ask questions. And Harry, you do a great job, so thank you for having me. But yeah, you can just find me over on YouTube on Holly's Hotspurs. Just do a live show every Monday at 7, talking about the game just gone. I've been a little bit not up to standard the last couple of weeks. I've needed a break, but I'm ready to be back for the new season. But Harry, thank you so much for having me, and thank you, Park Lane Pod, for having me.
No, thank you for coming on. We're really lucky to have you. So thank you very much. And Spurs absolutely takes the hell out of you. If you like, it takes a lot of work. So you absolutely deserve that break. You put in some amazing work, some amazing content. So I hope you had a nice little break, and we're back for the new season. But thank you for joining us. If you want to follow me, you can at Harry Scarf 22. Football content creator, YouTuber, also have my YouTube channel, Harry Scarf. Holly Agronville as well has their own. Make sure you check it out, Holly Hotspurs. Also, at the moment, I'm doing quite a few videos for Chris Callen's channel, so by all means, do check that out. But make sure you like and subscribe here to Park Lane Podcast. I filled in for Luke tonight. I'm not Luke, don't worry. I haven't changed my voice or anything, or I don't look different, don't worry. Or Luke hasn't got back in time. Nothing like that, just stepping in, if you like, for him tonight. He'll be back, I'm sure, hosting next Sunday. So for now, we'll see you there, and a massive come on you Spurs.
Come on you Spurs.